Hey y'all, what's up? It's your boy Randel, and I'm here with my favorite person in the world, Mrs. Emakua. How you doing?
I'm great.
Man, man. Hey y'all, do me a favor, okay? First of all, welcome to Life Made Easier. Please make sure you like, comment, share it with someone, and more importantly, subscribe, okay? All right, please do me a favor and make sure you do that. Ensure that you're making putting in comments down below. Ask us any question that you have or send us a message. We want to make sure we're engaging with you guys, okay? Uh, but before I get started, I want to give a shout out to our production director, our cinematographer, my brother in love, DJ, man. I appreciate you setting this all up, making this happen, man. Hey, yeah, y'all check him out, man. I think I tagged him below, so make sure that you do that, all right? Hey, Mariah, what are we talking about today?
So today we will be talking about, um, I guess it could be the must-haves or things that are essential for our marriage
Essentials to our marriage.
that make us that make us strong,
Okay,
that make this thing work.
okay. I
Yeah,
think we can both probably agree what the number one is gonna be, though,
of
right?
course, of
Yeah,
course. I mean, we agree on all of them.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's got well, yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the number one definitely 100% is God.
yeah,
I mean, that's like all the way at the top.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, before anything.
Of course.
I mean, I don't think we'll be here without him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I think it's like for real, like, because I know a lot of people be like, God, like they be throwing out God, but I think for us it's like we know that we like for real need him. I feel like we've done our relationship without him
Hmm.
before,
Woo! How was
and
that?
I mean it was a struggle. It was a struggle for us. I know people do it
Right.
all the time, but it was a lot, because we're still here, but like it was just a lot of work to me. And so I think for us, like, we really have learned over the years how to put him at the center of our marriage. I even think when we got married, or I know when we got married, um, that this wasn't just like a legal partnership for us,
Hmm.
but that this was a covenant.
Yeah, that's the word covenant.
Yeah, like for sure.
Oneness.
Yes.
Us together
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. And Evans and Evans.
Right. No, for real though. I mean, like this is something that, we have to we have to always walk together. You know what I mean? Like, if we're not going at the same pace, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
We always have to be moving at
Or
the
it's going to
same
be
pace.
extremely challenging.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
the reality of it is, there's going to be challenges going to happen. I think we
Mm-hmm.
talked about that
Oh,
last time.
mm-hmm.
There's always going to be challenges. However, we need to be able to face those challenges together
Mm-hmm.
as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an area that's lacking in a lot of relationship. Ensuring that we're moving
Mm-hmm.
together, we have the same not just values, and that's a whole different conversation. But
Mm-hmm.
we ultimately have the same goals, and that's
Yeah.
where we go back to what are the things that you and I must have
Right.
for each other. And one thing I want to highlight is that, that's going to be different for some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be different for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to do, okay, what do you guys want out of this relationship,
Mm-hmm.
out of this marriage?
Yeah.
And let me make it clear. I'm speaking for married people, okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure y'all
Yeah.
know that. All
This
right.
this is for the married
This
folks.
is for the married folks, okay?
Now what? Yeah. This is for the
Or
married
let me
folks.
say this: if you are seeking to be married, I do encourage that you should check this out.
Yes,
You
but I'm
know,
saying what we will be talking about
yeah,
is for the like. This is not.
this is what you're doing when you're married,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Watch it to be prepared for marriage,
Uh huh.
but we're not speaking to now whatever you decide to do. If you're not married, that's what you decide to do, but who we're speaking to
Yeah, I mean, I'm
are the
sure
married
someone
folks.
who is not married can walk away with some good
For
stuff from
sure, for
from
sure,
this, but
for sure.
ultimately, though, we are speaking to the married folks.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. One
excuse
thing
me.
that I do want to say, like, I know that we say a lot, or people say a lot that like, which is why I love that God is at the center of our relationship, because a lot of people say that like love is not enough to sustain a marriage, love is not enough to sustain a relationship, but I think. that love is enough. And the reason why I say love is enough, because in the word of God, it says that God is love. So if you're saying love is not enough, then to me, how it sounds is you're saying God is not enough to
Mm-hmm.
sustain our relationship
Mm-hmm.
or our marriage. And that's just not true for the believer. And so I think that when you have God at the center, all those other things that you feel like make the marriage enough, God equips you with, because if
Mm-hmm.
you're saying love is not enough because you need respect, well,
Mm-hmm.
when God is at the center, and when we're constantly filling each other with the word because we are Christ like, we're gonna respect each other. You know what
Correct.
I mean?
Yeah.
If you're saying that love is not enough because, we need finances. Well, there's a lot. I mean, the Bible mentions money and
Oh
finances a
man.
lot. So if God is at the center of our relationship, I believe that the Holy Spirit could speak to us about our finances, getting us on one accord on one page. And so I definitely think that love is enough, and love is what drives us to keep going because God is love.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And, one thing, you got to be able to dedicate your life to Christ for sure for
Yeah.
this to happen. You got to be able to say that, hey, I am in this. And then, your significant other, or should I say your spouse, should be able to say the same thing that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this with you, and this is something that we're going to walk together because we not just have that same goal, but, we're deciding to face um to put this on God when it comes to these things that you mentioned, whether that is respect, whether that is the finances and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna lean on to him for this
For
because
sure.
when the challenges come through, I mean that stuff is ready to break you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it's gonna come, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? That's the beautiful thing about being married. When someone might be at 25%,
Mm-hmm.
the other person is able to come up to
Mm-hmm.
75%.
Mm-hmm.
So
Should be able to.
right, should be able to
Should be able
to
to.
ensure that we're still at 100%
Mm-hmm.
and moving together.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, I don't want to go too much about serving each other again, but that's a huge part of that. I feel like you see that a lot when you're seeking to outserve each other. We talked about it last time. Like, as we're seeking to
Well, yeah.
outserve each
Mm-hmm.
other, I mean, that just does so much.
Yeah.
That,
Because we're not in a selfish place.
hmm
You can't be selfish in a marriage. Like that's
Ooh.
just not gonna work.
No, it's not
And
gonna work at all.
so when we're constantly trying to outserve each other, we're constantly putting each other first, meeting each other's needs. And when one person does it, it almost kind of gets the other person like, I gotta do this. You know what I mean? And so that's what kind of even keeps us just in a good place, because it's like I look to please you, you look to please me.
hmm
We look to do for each other, and it
Yeah,
not just be a thing of I need this, I need this, I need that. And same for you. I don't feel like we, don't get me wrong, we've had our selfish moments,
absolutely.
but ultimately we are not selfish in our relationship,
Not at
in
all.
our marriage.
Not at all.
um yeah, so even just when it comes to having God at the center, I would say that's even helped us with our oneness,
Okay.
because bringing two individuals to become one, as great as that sound, as easy as that, or let me not say easy, as great as it sounds, that's not easy.
Oh, not
That's not
at
easy to
all.
to bring two completely different people
Yeah, and
think
I mean, think
completely
about it.
different ways,
Yeah, and I
do
mean, think
completely
about it.
different things.
You and I have two completely different backgrounds,
Backgrounds, culture. I
culture. I
mean,
mean, I'm born in Cameroon. A lot of my childhood and growing up, a lot of things I saw was very cultured,
mhm,
traditional. A lot of things that we're doing it this way because that's how the culture has always
mhm,
been, or that's what it said. And you, on the other hand, in a way, it is still cultured, but it's a different culture when you
for
kind of
sure.
see it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we had to almost put aside our ways that we've grown up
Hmm. Well,
in.
we've had to create our own.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've
But I'm
had to
saying, like, we
take.
have to put that aside and
Yeah,
make the choice to create our own.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
works for us,
Right.
you know, and I think that a lot of people have a hard time doing that.
Mhm.
That's what you always known. I've always known this
Mhm.
way.
And
I
I'm
want
stuck in this.
right. I'm stuck in this,
Mhm.
and you know what? It's not to say that the way that you've always known is wrong or anything
Right.
like that,
Right.
but it
It
goes back
doesn't
to
work with this union.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
y'all gotta figure out what works for you guys,
Mhm.
and even when it goes to parenting too, you gotta figure out what ways you guys want to establish for your
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
But unless you make that work for your
Yeah.
spouse, you can't do that for the kids,
Yeah.
man. That's not. This It's just not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Which ultimately goes back to God being at the center, because I feel like God softens our heart.
Hmm.
God speaks to us, and we ultimately have learned, or and still learning, how to die to ourselves
Okay.
to be able to create this union,
Yeah.
to be, and we're still doing it, you know what I mean? Like, we're still learning, and I feel like, we've come a long way, but we're still learning how to become one, or we're still in, we have to constantly be intentional about staying one, because I
Yeah.
feel like we have truly become that, but we're definitely being intentional about that. But I do want to,
No, one thing before. Oh,
okay, I wanted to read a scripture on
okay.
the, because I feel like I don't want to just say things, because I feel like we are one for a reason. We're not just one because it sounds good, because we're just saying it,
Oh,
but like,
yeah.
but go ahead and say what you're gonna say before I
No,
read my
all I was
scripture.
gonna say was that I do want people to keep in mind that you know yes, it took work, but also we had to make the choice to have some mentors
Oh yeah.
in this.
Mm-hmm.
We had to see, okay, who do we want to observe to be an example
Mm-hmm.
of what marriage looks like, or
Healthy marriage. Mm-hmm.
healthy marriage, and whose marriage do we want to model.
Mm-hmm.
um, and in doing that, that has played a huge role
Mm-hmm.
in the direction of our marriage for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
And consistently staying in communication with those people,
Mm-hmm.
making
Mm-hmm.
sure that we're not just having marriage counseling, because very often marriage counseling is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's helped us
For
tremendously.
sure, even
uh
in the good times, because I feel
oh
like
yeah.
people seek marriage counseling only in the bad times, but we do marriage counseling when we're good too,
Right.
just so we stay good.
You got to be able to stay good, man. Different seasons have different challenges,
Right.
and even when you are good, you want to see, okay, what is working, and excuse me, what is working, and how do we improve what is working too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But go ahead. I want to make sure that
Yeah.
you.
So Matthew 19, I'm gonna start at 3, and it says, the Pharisees were intent on putting Jesus to the test with difficult questions. So they approached him and asked, "It is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason?" "Haven't you heard the scriptures about creation?" Jesus replied. "The Creator made us male and female from the very beginning. And for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and live with his wife, and the two will become one flesh. From then on, they are no longer two, but united as one. So what God unites, let no man, or let no one, divide."
Mm,
And I think that it's good um, to hold on, like I said, because I feel like I'm very much of a person, like, I don't just do things for the sake of doing things. I don't just believe things for the sake of believing things. Um, and I believe we need scripture for our marriage, because it's like, why do we need to become one?
right.
Why, what's the benefit of becoming one? Like, people just throw that around and say that, but I think living by the scripture, and and upholding scripture, I believe God honors that, um which is why we are able to come together as a unit. So
Yeah. And I mean, I love that the scripture says, you know, no one is able to split what God
yeah.
has united. I mean, and that's the
Hmm.
key to it. Like,
Hmm.
unless God is in that, then
No one could you they have no power over splitting us.
right,
Hmm.
exactly. And that's a choice that we make though, to allow
Hmm.
God to come into that, because the scripture does says that marriage is a good thing.
Hmm.
You know, we are supposed to be married. You know,
Well, we are supposed to be
man and
married.
woman.
I mean,
Yeah,
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 you and I,
yeah,
yeah, that's for
yeah.
sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm saying like,
I don't
you
know
know,
about other
man.
folks. No, I'm playing.
No, you're not. But you know, man and woman. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
you know, so you know, hey, I encourage you. Well, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but you know, I encourage you to consider that direction of allowing God to be at the center of your marriage.
yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
that is our first point.
Yep.
What is the second one?
Intimacy.
Ooh,
Intimacy,
I know.
which kind of goes into even just like oneness for us because I feel like a lot of that oneness has to do with specifically in intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
sex.
Yeah.
Because I mean we're literally inside of each other. I mean like we're one, like, you know. Um but I do think that that is very important because I believe that God has created it not only for us to um, populate the earth,
To
but
reproduction.
right. But I do believe that it is a form of connection,
Yeah, spiritual connection.
spiritual connection between a husband and a wife,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah, and
Huge
there's
one.
different kinds of intimacy too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Something to keep in mind because I think a lot of times
We go straight to sex.
we
Yeah.
go straight to sex. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry. No, don't get me wrong. The sex is good. Hmm. Let me stop. But you know, there's different ways to be intimate with
Yeah.
your spouse.
Hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the five love languages
Hmm.
and understanding that. And well, if you have not, I don't want to assume everybody's heard about it, but you know, I encourage everybody to check out the five love languages and use that as a way to understand your spouse's love language.
Hmm.
And one thing I've learned as we're actually doing marriage counseling with another couple a couple years ago is that your love language does change in
Hmm.
different seasons
Hmm.
in different, you know, I've seen your love language change from the time before you were pregnant
Hmm.
to while you were pregnant to even after.
Hmm.
And a lot of that has had to do with us. You know, I've had to communicate with you to understand that. I've had to be observant,
Hmm.
and I've had to understand that, you know what, there's going to be a season where your love language might be more of words of affirmation
Hmm.
rather than let me think, you know,
Quality time.
quality time, you
Hmm.
know, because I know quality time was a huge one for you, and
Hmm.
in a way it still is right
All
now.
of I feel like we all need all five love languages.
Absolutely.
It's just what is more of a priority in a specific season, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree. I definitely do agree. And I love that, but I love that that's actually the case where those things are higher in one season than the other
Hmm.
because I'm getting to know you again. I'm
Hmm.
getting to know what things are working, what
Hmm.
things are not working.
Hmm.
It's almost like I'm getting to know a whole different person and I get to make love to her too. You know, so you know
So
that's
it don't
us.
get boring, huh?
Yeah, you know, you got to keep excited. You got to
Yeah.
keep the excitement in the relationship, and that's another point like we can talk about later. But
Hmm.
you know, I'm getting to know you again. I'm seeing what things are working and not working. You know, we're having fun, and you know, those are the. There's just so many ways to be intimate with your spouse. You know, intimacy might be something as little as you washing the dishes for her
Hmm.
when you know she's occupied with something else, or me staying up, deciding that you know what, the baby's crying. It's 3 a.m. I'm gonna go pick him up tonight and bring him over here so he can get fed, rather than you going to do that. Those are things that you know those please you in a
Hmm.
way. You kind of saying,
I see where you're going with that. But I do specifically want to talk about physical intimacy because that's
okay,
more
let's
so,
hey, let's
and
go.
like, and it
I mean,
doesn't,
I'm sure that's probably what they want to hear
yeah,
about
yeah, it
anyway.
doesn't
A little
necessarily have to
nasty.
be, no, not even necessarily sex, but even just like, you know, a good long hug. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? A good kiss. Like,
Okay.
don't nobody want no pecks over here. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, when was the last time you gave your spouse a really good kiss? My dad asked us the other day, when was the last time y'all looked into each other's eyes? And I'm like, me and Randall, we been about this. What you mean?
Right.
Like,
He's
like
nasty.
Randall was like 2 days ago. My dad was like, "Y'all nasty. Bring the kids over here when da da da." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
I'm like, he didn't
But
want to see what's more grandkids, so we working on something.
but I do think that sitting on the couch watching a movie, cuddle or hold hands, just things like that.
Mhm.
But of course, sex
Yeah.
is just extremely important.
Yeah.
Like it's just extremely important, and I just want to talk to the people that may feel like it's like, well, I'm not like an extremely like sexual person, or my sex drive may not be like as high and things like that. I feel like we have different sex drives. But I think what one thing that really does keep me going is I always tell him at the end that was worth it. Always. Like I always say it
And
like
I tell you before, I'm like, it's gonna be worth it.
and I always say that was worth it. And like the next go round, it makes me like I always think about
The next
how
go round.
or the next time we like
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like I'm saying like the next time we do it, it's like I don't no matter how tired I am or no matter how I feel like because we have kids and things like that and it's just like, I can be drained and sometimes I don't necessarily feel like doing it.
yeah.
But then I think, dang, the last time we did it afterwards, I was like, that was worth it. So I always have to think of it's gonna be worth it.
Right,
And at
right.
the end, I'm always happy that we did it, that we chose to do it. So I think for somebody that may be struggling with their sex drive, maybe tell yourself that at the end, like it's gonna be worth it. And if they feel like, well, no, because it's not good. I know one thing about us is we're big communicators
Yeah.
on what we like, what we don't like, what has changed.
Hmm.
Um,
And we didn't do that early on. We didn't communicate as much about what things we like and what we did not like. But not, I'm talking about like early on. It wasn't until like a year or so that we really started
I don't know.
sitting down
I
communicating.
felt like in the beginning we were because I felt like I was very open because I didn't. I mean, I don't. Most people may not know, but Randall was my first, so like I felt like I had to be open because I wanted to know what pleased you, and I
Hmm.
wanted you to know what pleased me because I didn't
Right.
want you thinking that like this is what I like because of experiences that you had. So I personally felt like I felt like we were. I mean,
Well,
maybe we
maybe,
weren't as,
and
but we
that's what I was about
were
to say. I
still
think our
very
communication when
transparent.
it comes to intimacy increase, in a positive way
Mhm.
with time. We're more intentional in saying like, hey, do you like this?
Mhm.
This is something that works for
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Or me asking you like do you not like that? And you
Mhm.
telling me like, no, I do not like that. I
Mhm.
don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
Or at least because I used to do this and it used to please you during
Mhm.
that time, but now it does not
Yeah.
please you
Mhm.
because it does not feel good because you
Mhm.
got kids
Mhm.
and
Or
it's
just
like,
whatever the reasoning is,
right,
like whatever
exactly.
the case is. But
Yeah.
I
So
think it's
we
just important to just constantly be in communication.
hmm
Don't be, afraid to be like, you know, you know, I need you to go take a shower. Like, I'm just no, I'm just
not
being
for
real
real though.
because
Yeah,
then
yeah,
that's what holds you back from actually moving forward. Like, don't be afraid to be like, you know, just whatever. Like, I think, and it's very important in a marriage that you are transparent and you communicate about your intimacy, about your sex life, so that you all are constantly improving.
yeah.
We
Because
should be having
ultimately
the
they both
best
have the same goal.
marriage should be having the best sex ever,
Nah, for real.
ever.
And lots of it. Lots of it. So always seek to improve your intimacy and your sex with your spouse. I like to say making love to your spouse. Sex is a great word, but I was told that I enjoy making love to you. Love to you. Okay. All right. You want to go on to our next one?
Yes.
Okay. What's the next one?
I think we said communication.
Communication.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk about communication, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to
Yeah.
talk about when it comes to communication. I think we just finished talking about that a little bit, but one of the biggest things I have here is when it comes to communication within a marriage, you I you always want to walk away understanding your spouse. Walk away understanding, or at least let me say this: walk away being able to say that, you know what, I understand you, I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not just say it, actually feel that, like, really feel them, their position. Because very often there's going to be a lot of disagreement. Well, that's just going to happen. There's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And
Sometimes
that's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
that's
off.
okay.
I just wanted to let people know that's fine. Because I think a lot of people confuse arguments, especially toxic arguments, with disagreements.
Hmm.
Two different things.
Yeah.
Because disagreements, sometimes we leave and we still disagree, but we disagreed with respect. We
But you know what? You
disagreed
can.
with like the okay of that's okay if you, and it's on it's on the smaller things. It's not on like super, like, we're not disagreeing when it comes to like if the kids go to church or not. That's things we have to agree. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But whether or not, Mahari wears a certain dress, that don't matter. You know what I mean? So we can disagree on things like that. But I just want people to know it's okay to have disagreements, but when you're communicating, it's okay to have disagreements. But when it does come to like arguments, like nasty, toxic arguments, that's a different thing. And we're not talking about that, So I just want
Yeah.
to kind of make
No,
that
no, 100%.
clear.
And one of the biggest thing I've learned when it comes to communication is listen.
Hmm.
Gotta listen to your spouse, man. Gotta listen to what they're saying. Being able to, don't listen to respond to them. Listen to receive what they're saying. Like, I'm listening to you and my ears are open. You have my undivided attention. I'm not about to be on my phone during this time. I'm not about to be doing a whole bunch of things, especially the kind that's very busy. I feel like I'm always busy. And,
Okay.
I'll be over here building a house and Mariah's trying to talk to me about how the toilet is clogged up. I'm like, I mean, for real, like right now. But you know what? This is something
That's
she want.
minor.
I,
Sometimes I'll be trying to talk about like
I,
a serious
I
thing
was
and a
just
minor
gonna.
thing, but okay.
I ain't building no house,
I
man.
know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I ain't building the actual house. But the point I'm trying to make is that, you know what, if you're having a conversation, because you're usually mindful of my time,
Hmm.
but if you're, having a conversation with me about something that's important, especially if I'm doing something that needs to get done, then it's likely it's important for you or it's time sensitive for you.
Hmm.
And I need to be able to stop what I'm doing, give you my undivided attention, really listen to what you're saying, and be able to walk away and say, you know what, I understand, and I really heard what you said there. And sometimes it's just gonna take multiple conversations
Yeah.
until that happens,
Yeah.
because you gotta work. Communication is work.
Yeah.
You gotta continue working. You gotta see what things working, what's not working.
Hmm.
You know, and also sometimes you might have to be mindful about the best time to communicate.
Hmm.
Some things you should just not communicate when you're frustrated or not, or angry or whatever the case is, because you might not deliver what you're trying to say in a way that can be received by your spouse.
Hmm.
Like, if you're the kind that gets hot quick, then maybe you should not, especially if it's something that made you hot, maybe you should wait till later till
Hmm.
you've cooled down a little bit to share this with your spouse or
Hmm.
talk to them about.
Hmm.
Or let's say you guys are communicating and then one person is getting hot. I think one thing Mariah and I do, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling like this. I'm not feeling my best right now, or I might not be happy at this moment. So hey, if it's okay with you, let's talk about it later. And then we make sure we do address that conversation later because it is important.
Hmm.
But sometimes it's just not the best time to talk about some things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best thing is just to, when you're communicating, of course you aim to understand, because if you don't have that understanding, then you can't really change the action.
Yeah.
You can't really change what your partner is trying to communicate with you. And everything doesn't even have to be so deep. It could be even just communication, just even just the minor things. I just feel like it's important to be able to really get things like talk to your spouse. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that is the way that you all grow together and understand each other,
Yeah.
learn each other, all of that. So whether it's minor or major, of course, the major things will take a little bit more work. But I just think that when you are communicating, like I said, have that mindset of, I want to understand so that things can actually change.
Hmm.
Um, but once again, I think a lot of people don't even think to communicate. Like, I mean, that's what you just got to do. I mean, I really don't even know what best way to put that. Like,
Yeah, you got to get
communication
out your
is just
comfort
important. Yeah,
zone.
it's just important.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And if you don't know how to say something, one thing that I would do is seek advice first. I would
yeah,
seek wisdom. I would seek counsel as to like, I want to say this, but because I'm a super, I feel like I'm very blunt. Like I feel like I can hurt somebody's feelings, but just by a thought that I have, and it's like I don't mean to, but I'm saying what I like.
hmm,
I'm trying to be real because I don't want to beat around the bush, but I'm still working on that because I feel like it can still be said out of love rather than
yeah,
it just being like this is the honest truth. It's like you didn't have to say it like that though. So I'm still working on that, but I do think that if you don't know how to say something, seek counsel. And it's like, all right, I need to say this to my wife. I need to say this to my husband. And I'm not talking about well, I'm not gonna say your friends. I'm not talking about. I would seek counsel from somebody that has a healthy marriage. I would
hmm,
seek counsel from somebody that is not just on your side. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking to my friends, but they only agree with me. No,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, or they don't
That's
like,
one that's deep,
no,
man.
I think you have to speak, or I know you have to speak to somebody that is not biased and somebody that will actually guide you and help you towards, to bring that somebody that would bring you back to your husband or
Yeah,
your wife. So,
yeah, and
yeah,
it's very important that, like you said, someone that's not biased, someone who has the best interest for
the
both of you
marriage.
guys, for the marriage for sure. You want that person wants both of you guys to continue growing in this,
Hmm.
and also seek it from someone whose communication techniques you want to model. If you
That's
think
him.
that, the communication is something that you like, you love how they communicate. I've had somebody tell us before they like how we communicated.
That was
Uh,
so random too.
what?
Who the Corey from the I don't I'm sorry for saying names, but from the car dealership?
Uh,
No?
I
Okay.
believe so. I don't know. I've
Yeah,
heard
because
it
we
more
were
than once
talking. Yeah,
before.
we've heard it a lot.
Yeah,
But that one really stuck out to me because it was so random. I mean, we were just talking,
yeah,
and we were
but that says a lot,
yeah, and
though.
he was just like, "Wow, I loved how you guys just talked about that," and I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I guess because we don't even. It's just what we do that
but
like
we've had to work on that. Took work,
I guess. And
and
I think in
eventually
that
started
moment when he said
flowing.
it, it kind of made it. It was kind of like, oh wow, we see the work that we've put in, like what it's created.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was like oh, I didn't even think of
Mm-hmm.
that was a good conversation, but I didn't think of it like that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah. No, I
it
know
just kind of was natural, but or
exactly,
was natural.
and that's the thing. With practice, it eventually became natural. That's just how we. That's just
That's
how
just
we
how we
communicate.
roll.
What?
That's the Chris Brown and that's Chris Brown and Sierra song, right? Because you were like, that's just how we communicate, and I was just saying, that's just how we roll. Like,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Awkward. It's all
I'm
good.
sure they're gonna get it.
Yeah. Anyway, again, communication. Definitely, you know, be willing to work with the other person.
Hmm.
See things from the perspective. Try to put yourself in their shoe. And the reality of it is, a lot of times you're just not going to be able to understand it or understand it to the level that they do because you haven't experienced that, especially, even when you're going through your pregnancy,
Oh yeah.
the things that you've experienced, you might tell me, the reality of it, I'm just not going to understand it to that level. I'm just not. I'm not. The most I can do is really continue talking to you, continue communicating with you, uh, continue, seeking to be observant, paying attention to what is working, what is not working,
Hmm.
and trying my best. Sometimes that's just what's gonna happen, and this practice continue. That's to continue happening.
Hmm.
I have to continue to be intentional about that. But some things I'm just not gonna understand it. I have not been ever pregnant. I don't
Hmm.
want to ever experience that.
Well,
You know,
you'll never experience
yeah, right, exactly.
that.
You've experienced that. Only you can understand it when another pregnant woman or someone who's been pregnant in the past can understand that, and that's just how it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
But you could, when you can't fully understand something, you can still try and be there the best way
Right.
that you can. You
Hmm.
know, communicate the best way that you can in that
Yeah.
situation. But
And one of the beautiful things is that in me doing that, you learn to appreciate my effort, and you're able to say, you know what, he is trying. And that's sometimes that's what needs to happen. You have to be able to see, is that person seeking to understand me? They might never be able to get to that place where they understand you to the same level that you understand yourself, but you know, if they're making that effort to take a step towards that, I think that's something to highlight,
yeah,
to appreciate.
acknowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell the person, hey, you know what, I like that you're doing this. I don't like that you're doing this. But I think sometimes when you're beating somebody up for some things they're not doing, especially if it's effort, or at least they're not performing to the level that you want them to perform, I think it doesn't help. It actually makes a person take a step back sometimes
Yeah.
and be like, you know what, this ain't working, I'm gonna go back to my old ways. And that's just what it's gonna be like. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so many things we could talk about communication, but because of time, I think we're gonna go over to our next one. What's the next one? Friendship and fun. I mean, that's huge. Friendship and fun. Y'all, this is my best friend, man. I'm telling you now. She's
Yeah.
my best friend. She knows me like the back of my hand. You know what I mean? I mean, what don't you know? You know everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Everything.
if I don't know something, then I don't know that. I don't know it because I don't know it.
Nah, I mean, you know everything. Um, yeah, you're my best friend, and in that, we've not just been each other's spouses, but we've been friends.
Yeah.
What does that look like though? What is actually being a friend? Because I think sometimes when you just married, it's like, you know what? It's just
Yeah.
romance, all this. I know for me, like friendship, I have fun with you.
Hmm.
I talk to you like
We talk.
yeah,
Like we
we
talk
talk.
talk.
Right, we talk about everything.
Hmm.
We'll laugh together. We'll
Hmm.
we'll make a joke about somebody,
Hmm.
together. We'll
Hmm.
catch on to
Hmm.
things together,
Hmm.
and in a way it's weird. Well, I don't want to say it's weird, but it's kind of weird. Like, sometimes will even finish the other person's sentence. Like, it's like
Hmm.
our thinking is the
Hmm.
same.
Hmm.
And I enjoy that
Hmm.
because that says that not only we think alike, but we see the world from almost a similar
Hmm.
lens. Does
Yeah,
that
I
make
mean,
sense?
I think friendship is important because I feel like there have been times that we have not necessarily like been like crazy romantic or the sparks were there or whatever the case is, but because you my dog, it's like that's what kind of sustained us. And like, and not to say, because I don't rely on friendship because we're married.
Yeah.
We didn't get married to be best friends.
Right.
I'm your wife, you're my husband.
Hmm.
So if romance or the spark does happen to kind of, you know, uh um it's not there, make the effort and intention to work on that. You know what I mean? Because that comes above
Yeah.
everything or comes above the friendship. But what I am saying is that's why the friendship is important because I do believe it does help sustain us in those short seasons. And I want to emphasize that short seasons because we do try to be intentional about being romantic. In those short seasons, we still hold on to our friendship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that that's just a beautiful thing that it's like, you know, I got you and you got me.
Yeah. And we have fun doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about us, whether we're inside the house or outside the
Mm-hmm.
house, we're having fun.
Yeah.
That was a little bit harder when we had the babies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's harder for us to have
Mm-hmm.
fun because half the time you're hearing
Mm-hmm.
screaming and crying
Mm-hmm.
and changing the diaper.
Mm-hmm.
But, now, I change the diaper, I throw it at you.
Yeah, I think we have to learn to be fun in the midst of the kids. And I had to
Right.
learn to, because I know things like that would bother me from before. I've had to learn to kind of get off my edge of like, why
Oh,
would you throw that
serious.
diaper at me? Like, bro, like, and
Yeah.
to be like, I'm gonna throw the diaper right back at you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
had to kind of learn
I mean, I ain't
to
tell you be
relax.
throwing diapers at each other, but you know
Right.
what? We choose that we're gonna have fun in the midst of chaos. Okay,
Chaos. Yeah.
chaos. Yes, thank you. That's just what we're gonna do, and also even when we're trying to have fun with each other or go out and have fun and we'll realize, what, we have the kids with us, realize that, hey, we're gonna have fun with them as well. We're gonna have a
Hmm.
good time with them. And I tell you now, I mean, I say this all the time, like, I think Mahari is
Oh
hilarious.
my gosh.
Yeah, like,
Like,
that's our oldest daughter, if you don't know. Well, our only
oh
daughter,
my
really.
gosh. Yeah, only daughter, but she is something else. She's
She's
funny.
Yeah, she's
Like,
funny, like,
she's a good time.
exactly.
She's a good time when she's a good time. But when she's not, oh my gosh.
I
But
know.
for the most part, she's a good time.
Yeah, we have fun with her all the time, most of the time, and I like that.
Yeah.
And same thing. I have fun with you. We have a good laugh all the time.
Hmm.
We know, like, at a certain time when we're trying to have a good time, for instance, at home. I'm like, you know what? Who's about to? I'm like, rock paper scissors shoot.
Oh
Who's
my
about to pick up? Who's
gosh.
about to go get the ice cream? Because I ain't trying to get up.
He loved doing that rock paper scissors shoot. And guess who wins all the time? So I don't know why he keeps doing it.
Right, cheating every time.
How am I cheating? You can't cheat on rock paper scissors.
Nah, you
I mean, well,
cheat
you
all the
can,
time.
but I don't.
Nah,
You
you
just
be
know how to
ready. You
speed.
be ready to watch. Rock.
But are you doing shoot or no?
No, shoot. I always do shoot.
Okay,
You
because
know that.
that's yeah.
Ready?
Rock.
I pick.
Let's start over. Rock paper scissors shoot.
All right, we 2 out of
Nah.
3. 2 out of
Anyway,
3.
that's just a clear
It's
example.
we
But
always do 2 out of 3. You
but I
know
already
that.
okay. But we got to move on
All
for the
right,
time.
go ahead.
But
Go ahead.
as you can see, I won. So
Okay.
and did I cheat? No.
You know what?
All right. So the last one that an essential for us. So we kind of touched on it. Was it's being romantic.
Hmm.
Because like I said, I mean, friendship is great, but if there's no romance, uh, you know what I mean? Because like I said, we didn't get married to be friends. So I think that romance can be difficult, especially when life is happening and especially
Life
when you
is
got
lifing.
kids. Like it can be very difficult because you have to be intentional about it. Whereas when we were dating, we didn't have to be intentional because it just happened. We had the time for it. We planned for, I mean, we were spontaneous with it. We were just able to do. Whereas now it's like, oh dang, like we actually got to make time for this. And women, let me tell you, it's not just your husband being romantic towards you. Do things for your husband as well. Like, once again, just like you want to outserve each other, out romance each other, because it's not just a thing of my husband brings me flowers, my husband does this, my husband does that, but you don't do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, your husband wants to be is it romanticized, or basically wants you to be romantic too.
Yeah.
So um
And and a lot of that also goes back to communication. I got to be able to tell you, okay, what is it that I do like,
mhm,
what I don't like, and
mhm,
you got to be able to do the same thing. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? We've been trying to do this thing more where we're going out on dates,
mhm,
or at least creating that date experience,
mhm,
whether that's inside the home
mhm,
or outside the home,
mhm,
and that's our way of being romantic
mhm.
to each other.
And getting creative with it,
Yeah, getting
not doing the
creative with
same
it.
things. I mean, we do the things we like, we will still do, but
Right.
like I feel like we've gotten a little creative,
Hmm.
with trying to switch things up.
Yeah. The other day, what did we do last? We tried to sat down. We had something to drink. You know what I'm saying? No, not drink. I'm talking
We
about
ain't
like
had a we ain't have
sparkling
a
cider.
drink. We had a drink.
Yeah, yeah,
Not that we don't drink anyway,
yeah.
so just to
Sparkling
put that out
cider.
there. But
Um,
what are you talking
but
about though?
we pulled out these canvases and then we did a vision board.
Oh, we had water that day then.
You sure?
We didn't have apple cider. Yeah, we just had water
I thought it was
because
a
it was last. Yeah, no.
oh.
You're talking about another time. But yeah. Anyway, the drink is not the important part. But anyway, yes. So you decided for us to write out our vision on canvases.
A vision board. Yep.
Yeah, and I thought I liked that. I mean, we were talking about it. A lot of our things aligned. Um, Yours was, we should have brought it. His was so creative. I mean, Randall is just creative and can draw and all that good stuff. So his board looked amazing.
But we're creative
Mine
in
looked like
different
it was
ways.
from I was
I'm
a
more creative
kindergartner.
on visually. I can put it down on paper. Yours is more in your thinking.
Yeah, I can
So
articulate things,
right.
really well. Where it's like he'll draw it out and it'll be like, oh wow, like the way he did that was just
You like that?
amazing. I got stick figures. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he
You
got
like
actual figures.
right. I gotta make sure that, It comes out looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always big on trying to perfect things,
Mm-hmm.
make it come out the best way. But yeah, that was good though, and that helped us, engage with each other, really see where we see ourselves, 5 years from now. And also, what is our ultimate goal? We each individually created a vision board. Then we came together and looked at each other and just be like, hey,
A lot of
that's
this aligned.
a lot of it aligned.
We're the
That
same
is good.
person.
That means that no, we're not the same
I know.
person.
I was just
But
playing.
I know what you're saying though. But our thinking is very similar though in many ways. But at least we're moving in the same
Direction.
direction
That's
together.
what matters.
Yeah, so have fun. Have fun with your spouse. You know, find out what are those things that they enjoy doing. I know a lot of people like to travel. I know a lot of people like to, you and I, we love having food in the equation at all
Oh my
times.
goodness.
Good food. I
Good
like
food.
that. Starting to catch up. Do y'all see these?
We have to do an episode on that because we've been to some really good places in the Bay Area this year.
Okay, that'll be
That was
cool.
like a goal for us. Like we wanted to make sure we tried because our thing was always going to Panda, In-N-Out, Chipotle, JJ's, but we was like, we're trying something new,
Yeah.
and we did that. And I feel like we did.
We're
A
doing our so far. We
really,
still got a couple
we
months.
do, but I
But
feel
so
like we
far
did
this year we've done a
we've
lot
gone
better
to a
than
lot of different
before.
places. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Y'all do me a favor. Put in the comments if there's any particular things that you did want to see us talk about some more. Please let us know.
Or you can
Uh,
DM us.
yeah, send us a DM on our Instagram. Put it in the comments. I think we're probably gonna have our email on there soon. So yeah, please let us know. Okay, we want to engage with you guys. Want to make sure that we'll answer your questions. As always, ensure that you're liking. You like, comment, share, and subscribe. Okay, I think we're kind of coming up to a wrap right
Yep.
now. We appreciate y'all watching us. Stay tuned as we're daily seeking to make our lives easier. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Appreciate your peace.
Peace out.
Yes, sir.